You're listening to Remotely We Are One, a podcast to help inspire others to take their lives back from the office commute. I'm Rick, a passionate beer rep who loves the industry but hates the commute.
And I'm Kaleem, a remote work advocate and consultant. We're going to speak with some of the top professionals who have managed to avoid the commute as they share stories from the most inspiring to the most comical, all while working remotely.
Man, this sounds exciting. Let's clock in.
Hi, I'm Mary Brown from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I'm at the Relieve Summit, and I'm with Steelcase.
Thanks for joining us, Mary.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being here.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Our topic today is workplace culture and the remote worker, how they integrate with one another. And my first question is, what types of impact does workplace culture have on remote employees?
Yeah, so for remote workers, they're going to probably be part of a hybrid, or if they're part of an organization.
Sure.
So a hybrid workplace culture. So some of them are working remote. A lot of times in some organizations, the remote person is there most of the time versus being in the office. So they're out of sight. And so that's one of the huge impacts that individuals who are working remote, because if they're not on site, there may be some tendency to not be inclusive of them or not know that they, you kind of out of sight, out of mind sort of thing. Yeah.
Sure. You find that's fairly common, out of sight, out of mind?
I think so by default. We're human beings,
of course,
right? So what's in
yeah.
front of us or what's, said gets done and that sort of thing. Yeah.
We were talking last night about the idea of workplace culture and diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how sometimes those roles are in different departments. Can you talk a little bit about your role at Steelcase, right? And why you were adamant to have the title that you have. So could you tell everybody what your title is and then also how you're structured and why it was important to you to have that title?
Okay. So my title is Culture Consultant. And having come from previously working in DEI and then coming out of DEI, working in transformation and innovation, when I was adamant, if I go back into DEI, I wanted to reframe how we talked about DEI, right? And so what I mean by that is that we often, DEI, just like the people that they're serving or trying to create equity for, are othered. So DEI is the other thing.
I love
we're
that.
gonna do DEI today, right?
It's a thing.
It's a thing, right? And in my mind, and over the years of working with people, what I've noticed is that when you do that, it's an add-on. So it's something else I got to do in my job. Yeah. And therefore, leaders, employees feel like, I got to go to this DEI training. I got to do this. But really, DEI is a business acumen, right? So being inclusive is a business acumen. And if I'm a leader, if I'm being promoted, it should be looked at as just similar to anything else I have to skill up or upskill if I need to enhance it. The other part of that is that I feel that with DEI, it has to be embedded into the system.
Into the system.
Right. So that means your systems and processes, you have to look at how do they reinforce inclusivity or other people, right? Or disadvantage or however you want to put it. And also that DEI is everybody, right? It's everybody needs to be a part of that. So in the conversation, and I think we kind of talked about this too, is in the conversation, no one should be excluded. So your identity as a white male is important too. And what you bring to the workplace, what does that mean? And how have you been advantaged from that identity? How have you have advantages over people from that identity? I kind of
I like that.
Go with the idea of there is a privilege, but the word privilege has gotten such a
little negative
connotation.
Yeah.
It really is that you've been advantaged. right? And what does that mean, right? And so what I'm really proud about with Steelcase is that they've looked at their systems and processes. They're working so it's not a performative thing. A lot of people enter DEI or the work of DEI, and it's about the performance outside of the organization. And it's almost like we got to get our house in order too, and be very careful with, like recently we've got the accolade of being best place for work for women. But internally we said, okay, that's good, but what women? And what does that mean? Is it advantage for more white women? Is it advantage for more women who can have, who are in positions where they can have childcare easily?
Right.
You know what I mean? Right.
Let's dig into it. Yeah.
So we didn't shy away from digging into it. It was like, that's great. We love that. That's a great to be seen as a great place for women. But what does that also mean for everyone who, regardless of whether they're in the C-suite or in the production area, what does that mean?
I love what you're saying. And at Blend, we purposely made a decision probably in 2015 to not use diversity, equity, and inclusion. We decided that we were going to always call it inclusion and diversity. Because exactly what you said.
Start first.
Let's start with this inclusion first. Let's start at home first, and then let's venture out. The other thing that I love, because I've said it a million times, so I love the validation. Love that. Diversity and inclusion. It's a strategic business advantage. It's a strategy.
And I don't want to give the impression that those organizations that are even doing social justice work within their organization, that isn't important. I think that is important. We do it in our ESG work, right?
But if we're going to spend tons of resources, we're going to spend a lot of money, and returns are going to be slow over time. That's what we talk a lot about. Like, you're going to invest a lot, but you're not going to see a needle move for some time because it takes a lot of time, right? And if you're going to invest all that, why invest all that? And it's just like, there's a lot of business advantages to avoiding groupthink, to avoiding mix-ups. Like the Dove commercial where the black guy goes in and then comes out and he's a white guy because he's clean. It's like, are you sure you didn't? Did you have anyone on your marketing team of color? Because I'm pretty sure I'd have been like, hey,
have you updated your resume lately?
Right.
You might want to double check.
And as a global organization, we have to look at, how those cultural differences play out in different areas. So what's important culturally in the United States may not necessarily be the important or the epicenter of controversy or focus in APAC or EMEA. So we have to be conscious of that.
That's a very good point.
Wow, fantastic. It's a lot to think about. So with regard to workplace culture, we talked a little bit earlier about companies trying to find different ways to build an inclusive and dynamic, hybrid workforce. What are some of the ways that they're doing that?
I think there's numerous ways, but one I can speak from direct experience from my previous employer with Spectrum Health and the healthcare system, in which, the uniqueness is you have the clinical space and you have the business side. And it was easier for the business side to, everybody go work from home, right? And so, as you know, with healthcare, it was really a challenge with a lot of the dynamics that were happening, right? But I would say from the hybrid, we had to really think about where do we start, right? So immediately, just like everyone else, we did what we needed to do. You go into action. But as the year started to go forward, we had to think about, okay, we're going to probably be in this state for
a minute,
right? And what's our organizational stance, right? And so our team that worked with hybrid, we were very adamant about looking at the organizational stance and really pushing it. You've got to stand somewhere. You've got to talk about what is important as an organization. And it goes beyond just the values, right? You have to bake into that. But I think originally it was kind of like we're just going to recite our values, but people are like, well, what does that mean? So helping an organization so that we are a hybrid workplace.
Yeah, I saw that on your website. I mean, you're right. Right now, there's so much confusion Number one, because people aren't defining what remote is at their company. Where people are looking at job descriptions and they say we're remote, and then they're interviewing, it's like, well, we want you to come into the office, 4 times a week. I mean, like, that's not remote. So yeah, I mean, I told the fact that Steelcase literally took a stand on their website, literally on the home page. I saw it recently. I mean, it could have been slideshow, but it said, prepared for hybrid. Like on the home page of their website, hybrid. I was like, wow.
Yeah, and for Steelcase, specifically with the Steelcase entity, we recognize that our customers are in the state, right? We've, been hybrid. We've worked as hybrid. It's kind of like, okay, we've worked in that space, but we also realize that we're going to be playing remote, work from home, and hybrid, right?
That's true.
So there's like for us,
home furniture.
Home furniture. We have a home furniture or outward facing the work from home customer, right?
Oh, yeah.
And for remote would be similar to how would we outfit Citizen M, like we talked earlier. Citizen M was like saying that people were giving responses like, we need those phone booths. We need those. I'm like, we got them. Right? If you want them, like we got them, right?
Yo, these desks can't be fastened to the ground, dog. They got to be able to like flip up and roll.
Yeah, you need the flexible office. So not looking at it as a zero-sum game, right? But it's like some people are going to be remote, some people are going to be working from home, some people are going to work from the office, right? Sure. And there are going to be needs in that. So I don't think the office facilities are going away. They're just being reimagined and looked at very different for the needs of the current time.
Fantastic. What a time to be alive. Yeah. Having a transformation like this. I mean, it's just, some were ready for it and some weren't. And thankfully, people like you out there who are clearly ready for it and are willing to think about it.
Well, we talked about it earlier, right? You can either operate from a place of fear, right? Or operate from the place of, here's an opportunity.
Sure.
I used to have a professor, David Langford, at a study for a workshop when I was in education, and he would say every problem is an opportunity.
Absolutely.
And he coined it as problemtunity. And I've always used that. That's a problemtunity.
That's a problemtunity right there.
Favorite word of the day right there. Just came out with it. I love it.
It's Dr. Langford, so
it's Dr. Langford.
Yeah,
Dr. Langford.
I don't even know if he's still around or whatever.
We'll give him props for that. So
David Langford. Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
And I think it's like the most important question here.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So can you tell our viewers and listeners something that most people don't know about you that's not related to work? And I want something that's embarrassing.
Oh, no, I don't know anything.
Okay, or inspirational, whatever you want.
So the most, I will give you one embarrassing.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we want.
The most embarrassing is like, I like to sing like theme songs very badly, like on my own, and just on my own. Like at the top
like you're
of my
not
voice.
A good singer, you mean?
I think I can hold a note if I have to, but I just...
Do you do it bad on purpose?
Yeah, I do it bad on purpose.
That's even better. Okay, that's way better. That's
we have to find the karaoke bar.
Holy shit, we really do. We're really going to make that happen. That's great.
But I'm a huge Marvel fan. So, but nice. Particularly, just looking at how can we reimagine the world, and I think Marvel does it.
Oh, wow.
I agree. Like the way they basically came up with this whole series of movies and offshoots and different worlds. They've done a great job.
My wife painted a giant Spider-Man on my son's wall. He's 6, so he's right in heaven.
That's awesome.
So that's great. So where can our viewers find you online?
Oh, LinkedIn right now. Yeah, I'm working on a dissertation, everything, so I don't have a lot of social media.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
ABD is very difficult.
Right. Move it along.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have to ask one more question. What's your PhD going to be in?
Oh, it's an ED, organizational leadership.
Nice.
Yeah, specifically looking at people who work in organizations and work with leaders.
Oh, wow.
Not like the OED for education. So it's
Dr. Brown. Yeah. Can't wait to call you Dr. Brown.
Yeah.
Well, when you become Dr. Brown, please come back and see us. It would be awesome.
Yeah, we'd love to
We
have
want
you
to be
on
the first
show.
podcast where you talk about.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Awesome. I think that's a good turning point right there. I look forward to that.
I can't wait.
So, Mary Brown, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for coming.
I very much value your insight, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Awesome.
Cool.
You've been listening to the Remotely We Are One podcast. Visit us at remotely1.com/podcast for upcoming episodes. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and download our episodes on your favorite podcast app.
Hey, don't forget to clock out.